I started with interlocks because I don't like doing my hair, and I wanted to also have extensions, so I had interlocks with extensions, or Instalocks, which was the main decision for why I started with interlocks. And then also because I stuck with interlocks for a little over a year and a half, and then I ended up switching for two reasons. The main reason was, for me, around the edges, I started feeling like they were pulling. So my mature locks were fine, and I will say, like, I do think with interlocks, once the locks are mature, they're stronger. They feel stronger. They look stronger to me. But the immature locks, between, like, you know, the interlocks that were not mature in my roots, were really thin, and they were pulling. So I noticed, I trialed twisting, and I noticed for the twist kind of felt like it was a little stronger. So first, I will say I am very active. I work out about 5 to 7 days a week, and I think with interlocks, the look wasn't necessary. Like, the frizz is gonna be there, you know, that just comes with having locks. But I will say, like, I felt like I could go a little longer in between my retights versus my retwist. Kind of like weird, because I feel like if I could handle that, like, maturing process, because obviously the lower parts of my locks are mature, and then closer to the scalp they're still immature. If I didn't have the fear of the edges being weak, with the interlocks, I probably would active. Like, I don't have to worry about the unraveling with the interlocks. Right. You know, you sweat and then it dries, and it's wet and then it dries. With twisting, that's gonna start slowly unraveling, which is why I feel like I have to get retwisted. I would say the biggest con with interlocking is not being able to do your own maintenance in between. So, like, if you have like a nice event and it's been like 2 weeks or 3 weeks since your last appointment, for me, when I was interlocking, I could go like 6 to 8 weeks, which I feel like, from what I know about locking, that's good. The more you stay out of your hair, the better, or it kind of helps with the locking process. But, you know, you got a special event, or you going on a date or something, you just want to, like, do the top, make the top look good, or the edges look good. I can't interlock, and I have no interest in learning how. Because I don't like doing hair. So that was kind of the big con with interlocking. Where with twisting, you know, I can take a couple and twist those really good, get some of that new growth hidden until my next so I'm trying to pay attention to see if I can see the difference as the twist part of my locks are maturing versus the parts that are interlocking. And one thing that I thought that I was going to actually see was more of a twist look to the locks as they're locking, but I don't know that that's necessarily happening. I'm still kind of filling that one out, but I know I see some people who twist and you can kind of see like a twist pattern. I don't necessarily see that, so I thought that was going to be a pro, but I'm not sure that it actually is. So I would say the biggest pro is me being able to do some maintenance on my own, and it doesn't take a lot out of me. And then also, I feel like it's easier for me to do my own styling with the twist, because I feel like I can kind of, like, I like to twist my hair back and kind of have like a big twist in the front. With the interlocking, because you have those like two pieces that pull, sometimes it's hard to get more movement. You have to be careful too with your loctician with your interlocks, because they don't know what they're doing. They will retight too tight to the scalp, and that one, it'll hurt if you're tender-headed, but also it does make styling on your own difficult until you get some new growth.
Mm-hmm. And it'll thin out your locks.
Absolutely.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Thin out your locks. You'll end up having tension alopecia. All sorts of things can happen.
I would say I don't feel like my locks are as strong with, as I'm watching them mature. I can kind of, again, I have fine hair too. This might not be the case with someone with thicker or coarser hair, but I feel like I can feel more space in between my hair, where it's just not, the locks haven't matured. I don't know, like, it could just be me, you know, I don't really know, I'm no expert, but my experiences with the interlocking, the locks just are tighter and stronger as they're maturing. And I'm not getting that from my twist. It's definitely more almost like a matted versus a lock. It makes me nervous because I don't know that it's true, but in my head I feel like they're not as strong. So eventually I might start having issues with the locks breaking, especially as they get longer and get heavier. Because I just, you know, with interlocks, your hair is knotted and locked, and so it's kind of secure. So I would say with twisting, it's kind of, I'm watching the process because I'm not quite a year in yet, but I'm feeling like it's just the locks are just not as strong, and the unraveling is definitely annoying, which is why with me being as active as I am, I usually always have them braided or twisted or pinned up, you know, in itself is also not good. So that's kind of my big issue with twisting. I'm gonna be honest, it took me about 3 years to commit to locking my hair. I kept going back and forth. And when I finally did it, I just got tired of dealing with I love my natural curls. I miss them sometimes, but I just got tired of dealing with my hair. So I was like, I'm just gonna lock it. I'm done. And people would come up to me like, oh, yeah, you're going on this great journey, this spiritual journey. I'm like, no. And then it wasn't until about 2 weeks ago that I realized so much of my life had changed. Around the time I locked my hair, I went through a lot of life changes. I got divorced. I rediscovered myself. I fell back in love with myself. I've made some career changes. And it was like within months of me locking my hair. And I'm so glad that you asked me that question because I hadn't really thought about it. But I do feel like since I've locked my hair, call it a coincidence, I don't think it is. I have just had a different type of confidence in myself, a different type of love for myself, a different type of understanding of me. And I just feel like I'm better balanced and connected. My preference would have been to have smaller locks, especially since I did make the choice to start with interlocks. Because I got the extensions and my hair was so fine, my loctician who actually started my locks recommended that because my hair was fine and I was gonna have the extra extensions that I have a little bigger than what I wanted. So not my choice. I would love to have them a little smaller, but I have found that they were bigger than this and they have actually thinned out a little bit, which is nice. But yeah, I think it's just because of the extensions and the advice that I was given. Yeah, I think if you're considering, I told you it took me 3 years. I'm not regret the decision at all, but I do think you need to really take your time and make the decision because it's a commitment. And once it's done, especially once they start maturing, like it's done. But the benefits for me are far outweigh, you know, the fear of what might happen once you do it. As far as like locticians, I've moved around a lot, even in these few years. Again, a lot of life changes, but even in these few years since I've had my locks, and I would just say the flexibility of being able to retwist and interlock is really important. If you're going to be a loctician, it is very hard to find locticians that can interlock. So I think we need more locticians to learn how to interlock for sure. It's hard to get appointments.